Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
What over the years has kept you motivated?
Tell us what motivates you. What keeps you motivated every day?
What advice would you give to a younger self?
What's been motivating you through this troubled year to continue training? What's been the motivation?
Give me that one thing that motivates you every day.
So, knowing what you know now about your martial arts and your fighting career, etc., what advice would you give to a younger you of about 16, 18?
And another question we always ask our guests is, what advice would you give to a younger you?
So, knowing what you know now then, what sort of advice would you give to a younger self? As we're the motivated martial artists, what motivates you to get up in the morning and train and do what you're doing?
On the show, what advice would you give to a younger you, 15, 16, 17, given your experiences and the journey that you've been on now? What advice would you give to a younger you?
Trust the path that you're already on. Trust the path that you're already on. Make the same mistakes you're already on. Meet the same people. Do the same. Do exactly the same. Trust yourself and continue. That's what I'd say.
Fantastic.
That's what I'd say, because what that path has done, what everyone's life has done, has led them to where they are now. And I can honestly say, if I passed away tomorrow, I would pass away happy, because I've got such a fantastic life. Even though it looks like the world is collapsing around us, you know, I look at what I've got in my life. I've married my best friend. I don't work. You know, I teach. I've still got a medium to teach people online. I can still pass on my information to people and all the children that would help. I'm blessed, and I've got two beautiful daughters that have gone on to excel in whatever they've gone to do. And, you know, I am truly blessed with my life. And my main thing was to meet Guru Dan Santo, to train with him. That was my main thing, to meet, you know, the guy that really helped was one of the main guys in the Jeet Kune Do thing, because Bruce Lee was my idol. He was my kind of like my life coach from the grave. And I met him, and then, you know, I got my full instructorship under Guru Dan the other year, and I've done what I wanted to do.
You know, what would you say to a younger you? If you could get that 10-year-old girl or whatever and give us some advice in those early days, you know, what would you say to a younger you?
I mean, back then I used to carry the world on my shoulders, I guess, and you know, you're so young, so much is going to happen in your life that it's not really worth it. You know, just to focus on the here and now, forget what happened yesterday, and you know, you can only change tomorrow. You can't change what's already been.
Yeah.
So,
very true.
Yeah. Live in the moment. Live in the moment, I guess. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Over the 40 years that you've been doing martial arts.
39. Not quite 40, don't make me
39, okay, sorry, 39. Over those 39 years then, what's kept you motivated?
I don't know, I've always loved it. Like I said, I'd still be competing now if my body had let me. But, you know, I loved the competition, I loved every side of it, I loved the toll, I loved the travel. I just love the world, I love the people. Like you guys, I love you guys. It's you know, the people you meet are just awesome. And they're like family friends. You know yourself. You can go squad training, you can fall out with everybody, tell them to F off, and then you're best friends with them again next week, which is family, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. You can fall out with them and be friends again. It's a family thing. But the people you travel with, there's always something going on. You can just drop, I'll be down on the south coast, you can drop in on somebody's club and just train, or abroad.
Yeah.
It's just and the people in it, and the people you come across. You meet them anywhere in the world, and you just like you know
common thread, haven't you? Common
but it's a massive common denominator, and it's brilliant.
there's two camps to this. There's the no, stick with your one art and you should get everything you need from your one art. Or there's the other camp, and I'm firmly in the other camp, actually go out, experience not just other arts, but other instructors, other systems, other styles. And then you can, you know, the greatest martial artist in the world, or the most popular, I suppose, Bruce Lee. He didn't stick with one art. He went out, he sampled, he tried to pull the best of everything, didn't he? It's what he perceived to be the best of everything.
I suppose that's why I like listening and training. I've got a friend of mine who's Jamie Macrae. He's one of Ian Abernethy's instructors. And I train with Jamie all the time. And he's ex-judo, and he trains with guys that do Jeet Kune Do and all the rest. And he's kind of like me. He's like, you know, martial movement is human movement, you know. It's what's not taught in Taekwondo. So I'm very much in the camp of there's more to what we do, but the answers are elsewhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't think it's more. It's doing the right things for you, whatever that might be, gentlemen, whatever that is. You know, we've all done 14-hour days and looked around and go, I got nothing done today, right? So I think it's about being mindful that you're valuable, that your time is valuable, and what you invested in is valuable. And if, again, that why, live your best life. I'm not going to sit in front of the TV eating, you know, junk food all day. That's not living my best life. I will take my daughter to the beach, right? And I've told my other companies, it'll happen the way it's supposed to happen. I don't give me deadlines. Because right now, like in that scene of Enter the Dragon, the British intelligence guy is talking to Bruce Lee. He goes, it's Lao's time. Then he walks over here and, you know, kick me. And that's important. So I think that's the big part. I know when to play. I know when to sleep. I know when to, all that is managed really well, and everything will happen. You see, it's not the destination. It is the journey.
Yeah, cool. Okay. And I suppose one of the final questions then, Sharon. So, you know, looking back over your career and everything you've achieved, so, you know, this far, it sounds like you've got loads more to achieve, certainly with your schools and everything else. What advice would you give to a younger you if you could do it all again?
If this is something that you really want to do and you want to win, I mean, I don't know if you know, but WACO literally on Friday we became fully recognized Olympic sport, so it's absolutely phenomenal. So that it's opened like another big opening for us to sort of give us goals or
Well, I think it goes back to that multi-school thing, isn't it? So a lot of other sports have always had these opportunities, and now we're over the last probably decade, we're starting to see martial arts and martial artists being recognised as the athletes they are, alongside your tennis players, your football players, your rugby players, and that fantastic news about getting WACO into the Olympics. That is excellent. So it gives those competitors a real platform to strive to get to, but also gives them the recognition, you know, that they deserve. That perhaps, you know, certainly we didn't get, without a doubt, our generation. But it's great that it's our generation that are pushing that now.
So what's next then? What's the I suppose what's the future then, Sarah? What's your goals and plans, you know, moving forward?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, Taekwondo martial arts have changed my life. I think if I hadn't have had it, it could have been a different journey for me. And again, going back to the Taekwondo and, you know, sort of the tenets of Taekwondo, I've practiced them in my life outside of Taekwondo, which is why I've had a successful career as well, you know, because of that. And I'm really lucky now that I'm in the fortunate position where I can take some time out really to help others. So I do quite a lot of volunteering and mentoring, again, in the place that I grew up, and it's actually in the original club that Ralph started his Taekwondo club, which has now become a youth club, and it's part of the Royal Foundation. So I've been involved with them a lot, sort of giving back to them, trying to change their lives, doing mentoring, you know, working with girls, very similar to my sort of upbringing, helping them with work placements. Some of them we've had some athletes that, you know, we've been getting sponsorships for. I know when I first started fighting, it was, you know, financially it was really difficult for me. And I was actually one of the first people to get awarded the Prince's Trust Fund when I was 16. So again, it's, you know, working with young athletes, getting them sponsorship and funding. So, you know, that's sort of where my role is now evolving to, and just mentoring and helping.
Brilliant. Well, it's great that you can give back, isn't it? Especially, I suppose, been through what you've been through, and you understand exactly what their mindset is at the time. What would you say it was then, Scott? What was that? I know it's a long time ago now, but you're thinking back. What was it that really got you hooked, do you think?
One, it wasn't as bad on my hamstring. Two, it was just as competitive as my sprinting was and my long jumping.
Yeah.
It was indoors.
So there's a bonus, especially in Scotland in the winter.
It was just everything. Pat, don't taking nothing away from my athletics coach, Hugh Robinson. He taught me a lot about coaching, and that comes up throughout my career. But so did Pat. Taught me a lot about winning and how to win. And the mindset that you need. It was just all of that because I was quite competitive. Again, going back to this, you know, the training, making me confident. Well, not only could I be confident, I could be skillful as well. Again, making this like small, skinny boy that little bit more.
So one of the questions we ask all of our guests, Sharon, as we are the motivated martial artists, what motivates you? What's been motivating you? What motivates you now? Because obviously motivations change at different stages of your life. But what's motivating you now then? Now
at this very moment?
Yeah.
Watching my students. I know obviously they can't compete, but watching my students win. I'm quite lucky because we've got some really talented students in my club. I've got a current world WACO champion and a European WACO champion. They're all juniors. One's 16, one's 13. But that for me is just like me winning, you know. It's such a good feeling. Just getting kids into the British team as well, you know, that's quite, because it's quite a big thing to get into the WACO GB team, and again, if I can get 6, 7, 8 of the kids from my own club into the GB team, I think it gives everyone that's in my club, all those who compete,
it gives them a lift, doesn't it? It gives them a boost. It gives them something to strive for as well.
And it gives them belief as well, you know, if they see other kids who are there training alongside that they can do it. It's like, right, you know what, I know I can do it and I want to get there. And I think is when you've got kids like that in your own club, it brings everyone else up.
It's inspiring. It does lift the level, doesn't it? It does.
Oh yeah, it's such a great feeling, isn't it? That great feeling is what you kind of thrive on, is what makes you come back again. And sometimes it's success, sometimes it's winning a fight in the club. You know, if you've not won for little while, if you're one of the new ones, and then all of a sudden you go and beat little Johnny and he's always beating you, and that's a great lift, you know. And then for me it's like, well done, you know, you've done really well today. And I think it's just seeing success in my students that's really, really good for me.
Oh yeah, and again, it's mindset. I'll end with this quick story. I was having a bad day because we're coming up on 1 year, right? And I'm going, shit, I went from working 2 hours a week in these 2 schools, 2 hours a week if I wanted to. I was coaching my son's basketball team. I'm freaking, you know, getting fat, just living that life. Now I work 40, 50 hours a week. And I was sitting there, I'm going, shit, but I'm down, you know, $500,000, right? And then I say, okay, but stop for a minute. I sat with one of my financial guys at lunch. He says, let's stop for a minute. Your investments, and I won't tell you what they're equaling, but what I'm going to make for my investments, I'm done. I'm secure. I can retire right now. But I won't, because I don't want to. I don't need to. 2, he said, you're still open. Stop to think about that.
Yeah.
Right? Is your cup half full or is it half empty? I have a well I can draw from consistently. And then we got the PPP for San Francisco, $117,000. And that's going to be forgivable. I know it will, just like the first one was. So then that fell in my lap. Right, then we lost our permits for the park because the youth sports takes over. Then we got another venue to take over outdoor. See, so I was climbing on a pity pot just going, poor me, because I'm working like a dog. I've dropped 30 pounds, well, 25 at this point, you know, but it's all here. And if you can do that, then working through these challenges are not going to be as difficult. And when I laid the land out and looked at all my numbers, I'm in pretty good shape. See, what he said is you may have lost 500,000, but you made $1.6 million last year. Chill out.
Humans, it's funny because your perspective naturally is that life's good if you're comfortable when you're not facing, but it's actually the opposite. If you're challenged and pushed to improve and overcome, that's where the passion comes from, you know. And it's, we do need resistance to build resilience and be successful. And without it, you kind of get bored and life becomes depressing. So that's my understanding as I've got older. It's the challenges I used to hate that actually, or I thought were hard, that actually have bred the kind of mentality I've got that makes me have a happy life, really. So, yeah, I think it's that thing.
And ask, what advice would you give to a young 16-year-old that's looking to get into martial arts?
The advice that I would give is just do it. You know how they say 80% of success is just showing up?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just show up.
And show consistently as well. I think that's the thing. It's not just showing up once, isn't it? It's showing up every day, even if it's an hour a day, just showing up, and all of a sudden you look back and think, Jesus, how have I got to here?
Exactly. There's that Zig Ziglar quote where he says, wake up, dress up, show up, and never give up. And that's the advice that I would give. It's a bit like, have you ever walked on fire? Ever done fire walking?
No, I had the opportunity to do it at Tony Robbins, the Tony Robbins show, but I didn't end up going in the end. I had tickets and everything. I'm gutted now. Yeah,
he does really well. The guy who taught him, Tolly Burkan, I had the opportunity to go and train with, who taught him fire walking. So I went and did that. Anyway, cut a long story short, when you walk on fire, step one is the hardest. When you take a look at something like going to your first martial arts class, step one is the hardest. When you look at this thing that you think is impossible, and all these people are better than you, they're all doing something that you can't do. Step one is the hardest. But as soon as you take step one, step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 come by themselves. You will just take them. You have
definitely. No, that's very, very, very true. Very true. It allows you to grow on, doesn't it? It allows you to develop, allows you to move on, and then move on to the next thing once you've mastered it.
That's it. And that's in martial arts, like we say, you'll always find something to improve on, something to get better at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning basic techniques. I'm still finding new nuances in them, as I'm sure you guys are as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yep, that's it. I think that would be my advice. Just do it.
Really
so given your martial arts career and the journey that you've been on it and continuing on still, because it doesn't end, does it? It's a lifestyle. It's something for life. What continues to motivate you?
My identity, who I am. I am a martial artist. So that's my identity. So everything I do stems from that. Everything I do. Even the downtimes, as in like when you're chilling, when you just sit back, you're having a beer. I'm a martial artist. Someone's going to take that wrong, aren't they? They're going to go, oh, Neil says we can party. Earn your downtime. A martial art, the warrior code, you have to know when's family time, when's work time, when's research and reading time, when's working out time, when's meditation time, when you need to know these kinds of things. It's a fine balance, and that's what a martial artist is to me. It's not just the art of war. There's something.
The art of life, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a real good guidance there. It's almost like a religion, but I wouldn't class it as set in that kind of rock stone.
It's a cult, isn't it?
It's a cult. But you're not set in that, and that's one thing I like about the JKD philosophy is you're not set in a cult. I pay respects to Muay Thai, I pay respects to the Bruce Lee arts, I pay respects, to the Filipino arts, etc. But I'm just paying respects to that kind of the people that have gone before.
So, what's been keeping you motivated throughout lockdown, then, Chris?
I don't know. I suppose this last one, like I said, it was a hard thing, but. The people with you, the people around you, the ones that are committed and keen. I mean, some of the kids are there just because just to keep them going, or the parents want to do more than just, like you said, sit on the Xbox. But some of the adults that have been helping, some of the adults that want to come and train, the ones that are dedicated and want to be there and want to learn more. So it might not be a half a dozen of them, but they've kept your drive towards it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
and Gavin,
the Motivated Martial Artists.